The day I discovered my wife had secretly married another man, my entire life shattered in a way I never imagined possible. But the most shocking part wasn't the betrayal. It was the truth I uncovered afterward. Because the man she secretly married had no idea she was already my wife. And when the truth finally exploded, it destroyed all of us. Let me explain. 5 years ago, I believed I had the perfect marriage. My wife, Vanessa, was the kind of woman everyone admired. She was kind, intelligent, beautiful in a quiet way, and incredibly supportive of me. We met during a business conference in Chicago. At the time, I was struggling financially. I had just started a small tech consulting business, and money was tight. Vanessa worked as a marketing manager for a large firm. What attracted me most to her wasn't just her beauty. It was how she believed in me. While other people laughed at my business idea, Vanessa always told me I would succeed. She used to say, "One day, you'll look back at these difficult days and realize they made you stronger." And honestly, I believed her. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Our wedding was small but beautiful. Just family and close friends. Nothing extravagant. But to me, it was perfect. For the first 3 years of our marriage, life felt stable. My business slowly started growing. We bought a modest house. We traveled occasionally. We laughed a lot. And I trusted Vanessa completely. Looking back now, that trust feels almost painful. Because I never imagined the woman who slept beside me every night was living a completely different life behind my back. The first strange sign appeared about a year ago. Vanessa suddenly became very protective of her phone. At first, I didn't think much of it. Everyone values privacy, right? But then I noticed she started taking calls in another room. Late at night. Whispering. Sometimes she would leave the house and say she had to meet a client from work. Her job had always been demanding, so again, I didn't question it too much. But slowly, small doubts started forming in my mind. One night, I woke up around 2 in the morning. Vanessa wasn't in bed. I walked downstairs and found her sitting in the living room, quietly talking on the phone. The moment she saw me, she hung up. She smiled nervously and said it was just a coworker dealing with a work emergency. I wanted to believe her. So I did. But that moment planted a seed of suspicion in my mind. Over the next few months, the strange behavior continued. She began traveling for work conferences more often. Sometimes she would be gone for 2 or 3 days. I never went with her because she insisted the events were strictly professional. One evening, while we were having dinner, I casually asked which company she was meeting on her next trip. She hesitated, just for a second. Then she gave an answer that felt rehearsed. I didn't push further, but deep down something felt wrong. Still, I never imagined the truth was far worse than cheating. Because cheating is one thing, but living a completely separate marriage? That never even crossed my mind. The day everything changed started like any normal day. I was working from home when someone knocked on our front door. When I opened it, a man stood there holding a small envelope. He looked nervous. "Hi," he said. "Does Vanessa live here?" My stomach tightened immediately. "Yes, she does." He hesitated again before asking the question that would destroy my world. "Are you her brother?" I laughed awkwardly. "No, I'm her husband." The man's face turned completely pale. For several seconds, neither of us said anything. Then he whispered something that made my heart stop. "That's impossible." My chest felt tight. "What do you mean?" The man slowly pulled something from the envelope. It was a photograph, a wedding photo. And standing in the middle of that picture, wearing a white dress and smiling brightly, was my wife, Vanessa. Next to her was the man standing at my door. He looked directly into my eyes and said the words I will never forget. "I'm her husband." The world felt like it tilted sideways. I grabbed the photo and stared at it. Vanessa in a wedding dress, holding flowers, standing beside this man, in front of what looked like a small courthouse. The date printed at the bottom made my stomach drop. 3 months ago. 3 months ago, while she was still living with me. My mind struggled to process what I was seeing. I looked back at the man. His hands were shaking. "My name is Daniel," he said quietly. "I met Vanessa 8 months ago. She told me she was single." I felt like I couldn't breathe. 8 months ago. That meant she had started seeing him while still married to me. But it got worse. Daniel explained everything. They met through a professional networking event. Vanessa told him she was divorced. She told him her ex-husband had treated her terribly. She told him she was rebuilding her life. He believed her. They started dating. 3 months later, they got married. And now he had come to our house because he had recently discovered something strange. He found paperwork that mentioned my name connected to Vanessa. When he searched online, he found records showing Vanessa was still legally married. To me, the silence between us felt unbearable. Both of us had been lied to. Both of us had trusted the same woman. And neither of us knew what to do next. I invited Daniel inside. We sat at my kitchen table, staring at that wedding photo. The more we talked, the worse the situation became. Vanessa had been living two completely different lives. With me, she was the supportive wife who worked long hours. With Daniel, she was the newly married woman building a future. Those business trips she took, they were weekends with him. The late-night phone calls, they were conversations with her second husband. Every lie suddenly made sense. And yet, the biggest question remained. Why? Why would someone secretly marry another person while already married? Daniel and I decided we needed answers. So we waited. That evening, Vanessa returned home. The moment she walked through the door and saw Daniel sitting in the living room, the color drained from her face. She froze. Her eyes moved from him to me. And in that instant, she knew the truth had been exposed. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything I had ever experienced. Finally, I asked the question both of us needed answered. How long were you planning to keep this lie going? Vanessa didn't answer immediately. Instead, she sat down slowly, her hands trembling. Then she whispered something that shocked both of us. I didn't think you would ever find out. Daniel stood up angrily. What do you mean you didn't think we'd find out? You married both of us. Vanessa began crying. But the tears didn't make me feel sympathy anymore. Because everything she said next revealed a level of deception I never imagined. She admitted that she had intentionally created 2 marriages for financial security. My business had started becoming successful. Daniel, on the other hand, came from a wealthy family. She believed being married to both of us would give her stability no matter what happened. If my business failed, she had Daniel. If Daniel left, she still had me. To her, it was a calculated safety net. Listening to her explanation felt surreal. This wasn't a moment of emotional weakness. It was a deliberate plan. Daniel looked like he was about to explode. I felt strangely calm. Maybe the shock had numbed my emotions. I quietly told Vanessa that I would be filing for divorce immediately. Daniel said the same thing. For the first time since she walked into the room, Vanessa looked truly terrified. Because suddenly her entire plan had collapsed. Within weeks, everything fell apart for her. Our divorce proceedings exposed the second marriage. Daniel's family was furious. Legally, her second marriage was invalid because she was already married to me. She lost both relationships, both homes, both futures she tried to secure. And the worst part? Her reputation. Everyone in her professional and social circles eventually learned the truth. Meanwhile, Daniel and I remained in contact for a while. Not because we were friends, but because we were the only 2 people who truly understood what had happened. We had both loved the same woman, and we had both been betrayed in the same shocking way. Eventually, we moved on with our lives. The anger faded. The pain slowly healed. But one lesson stayed with me forever. Sometimes the people you trust the most are capable of the most unimaginable deception. And sometimes the truth arrives in the form of a stranger knocking on your door. If that knock had never happened, I might still be living a lie today. And that thought still sends chills down my spine.